Hello, and welcome to The Void, where I will be screaming my opinions. Today we are talking about the female rage. Why? Because I want to.
Okay, let's go.
I'm gonna talk about...
A few moments later.
There are a couple that I want to talk about because I was thinking, maybe you stumbled upon this video thinking, hey, I'm angry. I need to watch a movie where I can get this anger out without, offing anyone. And yeah, that's why I'm here, so that I can provide you some food for thought so that you don't go off on a, spree of disembodying people. Anyway, so here we are, and we're talking about female rage movies. I will talk to you about my top 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8-ish movies, so that you can binge watch them and maybe get that rage off and be like more satisfied by the end of it. At least I hope. They are in no particular order because I don't have favorites. Every time somebody asks me, what's your favorite movie? I'm like, well, there's this one, and there's that one, but there's this one. And there's that one, and then there's this one because of that, and there's that one because of this. So you see, there are no favorite movies, in my opinion. I do have movies that make me go like, ooh, you tickled my brain.
Okay.
If you follow me on Letterboxd, you would know which 5 they are. Am I gonna tell you right now?
No, God!
Is there gonna be a link somewhere? I will insert the link in the comments down below. Anyway, female rage, back to it. That will make you feel less angry by the time you've watched it, so that you don't have to go into, bloodbath territory. Especially with, I guess it's especially with men, okay? If you're a woman and you're angry because men have sucked and you need to calm down about it, these are the horror movies to watch and make you feel like, okay, I feel a little bit better, right? Okay, so in no particular order, do not at me. Is this still allowed? Is this a millennial thing to say? The first one I'm going to talk about is men. Why? Because each and every movie I'm going to talk about is going to have a certain incentive of you to get angry, and then will develop into this thing where you will feel angrier as the movie goes on, and then you'll feel better after that. I don't know, depending on the movie. First one we're going to talk about is Men. Men is directed by one of my faves, Alex Garland. He is absolutely brilliant. I loved him. I watched Civil Wars in the theaters. Alex Garland, great director. Is a man? Yes. Still made me feel like, oh my God, yes, it is me. I feel like she felt. The main character is played by Jessica Buckley, who is absolutely perfect for this role and every other role she plays in. The main other characters are the antagonists in this movie, played by Rory Kinnear, who I absolutely adored in Penny Dreadful. If you haven't seen Penny Dreadful, what are you doing?
I don't know.
It's one of the greatest gothic tales ever told. Yes, there are other ones. I know. As I said, I don't have complete top favorites. But if I had to put somebody up there, it would be Penny Dreadful. Okay? Love her. So the movie starts with, I guess, spoilers ahead a little bit. Not yet. The movie starts with her being in an abusive relationship. He pretty much tells her that if she leaves him, he's going to off himself, which, who does that? Whoever does that needs to check themselves and just go to therapy, okay? Absolutely no go. You cannot be in a relationship, and if somebody wants to leave you, you're like, I'm gonna off myself if you leave me. F you. F you very much. I luckily never had to go through something like that. That would be terrifying. People usually left me because they realized that when I said back to men, concentrate. We're talking of, I'm never gonna get through these movies. Maybe I should just tell you which ones to watch.
No!
No, we're gonna go through it. So, men. So he then ends up, now comes the worst part. He ends up throwing himself off the balcony in front of her while she sees it happening in front of the window. Like, what is wrong with you? That really got me very riled up. I was like, oh, you piece of nonsense. How dare you? And to overcome this stuff that she had to go through, which is horrific, by the way. Anybody in a toxic relationship will tell you that they are actually in love with this person, and there is nothing much that they could do about it. And then this person who you love and was very toxic towards you throws themselves off the balcony, offing themselves right in front of your eyes. The audacity, sir. To get over that, she goes to the countryside. She books, I think, an Airbnb or something in this beautiful, beautiful house with a piano, and it's just gorgeous, gorgeous. So she goes there, and us as a viewer, we notice that every man she meets in this village looks kind of similar. It goes from the boy to the oldest, and there is all sorts of toxic traits, okay? You have the, I guess, groundskeeper, then there's a tiny boy running around, then there is the guys at the bar, and they're all played by Rory Kinnear. I hope I'm not butchering the name. And it's highly interesting because as a viewer, at first you're taken aback and you're like, is this going to work? Especially the boy looks weird because they had to CGI his face onto the boy, which looks just creepy AF. Okay, you're there and you're thinking, ooh, but it works. And at some point in the movie, you realize that it's kind of a projection because she's been through trauma, and anybody who has been through trauma knows that you tend to project a lot onto people. I had that for a while. I used to have anxiety with every guy walking towards me. My heart would start beating. I would get clammy hands. There was nothing I could do about it. And I had to kind of go through exposure therapy or lock myself in my home. And I'm not going to tell you more. That's about as much as I'm going to tell you about this movie. I love the movie. I love the ending. The ending is wonderful. You will see in every movie there is a certain theme of the protagonist, woman, getting so angry that there is this scream, you know, the rage that builds up with the movie, and she just has enough of it and she's like, destroy. So that is part of it. And every movie will have that at some point, I think, mostly. So yeah, Men, watch it. Alex Garland, very good movie. Next, we have Revenge by Carolee Farjeet. Coralie. We're just going to call her Coralie. I'm sorry for butchering your name. If I ever meet you in person, please don't be mad at me. She is the one who did The Substance too. I didn't like that movie. No, I didn't throw up. No, I didn't feel disgusted by it. Yes, there is a lot of body horror. I just didn't. Just wasn't into the depiction of it. And also, I will talk at some point about the 5 movies everyone seems to like and I didn't like. If you want, maybe I'll get cancelled for it. I just didn't like The Substance. Loved Revenge. Didn't like the beginning. That's another story. I did not like the grape scene in the beginning, but that's just because I usually don't like grape scenes in movies. I find them useless. Kind of. I understand that some people like to go through it. It's supposed to get you riled up, right? So you have this beautiful woman played by Matilda Lutz. I love the poppiness of her. She's got these beautiful earrings that are made out of stars and are pink. She is gorgeous. The main character is Jen, and she plays this mistress of this rich guy, and he invites his two friends, and they like hunting. You see that from the beginning. They're in the middle of the desert in a beautiful house. She has this very coquettish kind of allure to her. Of course she does. And then she gets raped by these men. You start getting angry because of course you do. They throw her off the cliff and leave her there for dead. Ha, little did they know that she's gonna come back with a vengeance, which she does. And it's this insane movie about this woman just finding her strength, and drug-fueled scenes. Just brilliant, okay? Just brilliant. I don't want to spoil too much because, I mean, it's a typical grape revenge movie, just with a little more female rage added to it. I did not like how she was depicted much, but that's just my preference. I do not like women sexualized too much, but in this movie it works because she is a very beautiful woman and she feels her sexuality, and it was taken from her by these pieces of nonsense. So yeah, absolutely beautifully made. Highly recommend. Liked it more than The Substance. And yes, there is also the scene where she's gonna be like, ah, oosh, 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 destroy. I'm gonna call it the Godzilla moment, just because it does feel a bit like Godzilla, just smash, you know. Highly recommend. Next movie we have, which if you haven't watched it yet, you're in for a ride. Ready or Not, okay? Samara Weaving. Once again, love her. Directed by Matt Bettinelli and Tyler Gillett. Can we get like easy names like, I don't know, Jack Torrance? If you know, you know. Of course you know. Otherwise you wouldn't be visiting this channel. So yeah, Samara Weaving. She is marrying Adam Brody. She is marrying
Mark O'Brien.
And he comes from a very, very, very rich... Sir, I'm recording here. That was not the point. The point was you not licking yourself. Because I get triggered when you lick yourself. It makes my synapses go like, you know what I mean? Back to Ready or Not. Samara Weaving marries marries
Mark O'Brien.
And he comes from a very rich, very creepy family. You notice a lot, like, there's these dynamics that are just, rich, you know, old rich money with secrets. Talking really old rich money with secrets. And once she gets married, she figures out that there's this game they play and she needs to pull a card. And she gets very unlucky by pulling the wrong card because she pretty much, what happens, her new in-laws need to hunt her down, and if she survives, I guess, she wins. So yeah, there's this whole entire thing of her, there's massive grounds And she runs away and she's in her wedding dress. And oh my God, the outfit she is wearing. I think everyone wants to be her for Halloween. She has this beautiful wedding dress. She has the, at some point, because obviously she has these, you know, what do you call these? Shell belt casings, shell casings belt, and a massive, shotgun. Love the casting. Absolutely annoys the F out of me. Samara Weaving, fantastic. And yes, there is also a scene where she gets so angry that she screams in frustration, which, I mean, I would too. There is also a scene where I think she punches a kid, which is very satisfying. I'm going to stop it there because you will enjoy this movie. Honorable mentions of who's in it. Andie MacDowell plays Aidan Brody's mother. Love her. There is this grandma who also plays in it. Love her too. Just a lot of vicious fun, okay? A lot of vicious fun in this movie. Directed, as I said, by these two guys. If you don't know what they did, they're the same guys who directed the latest Scream movies and Abigail. I liked Abigail a lot. Listen, bring in some fun banter, a lot of just blood, guts, and gore. I'm gonna enjoy myself, okay? If it's funny and it has bloods and gore. Bruh. Next. This is less female, well, it is kind of female rage, but it's more of a frustrated woman. It's Happy Death Day. Love the movie. I love the movie because the frustration builds up with her just keep on waking. She has a groundhog. It's a slasher Groundhog Day movie, okay? And the frustration lies within that she keeps waking up on the same day. And there are these beautiful moments where she just couldn't care less at some point. And you see the gradual just not caring anymore happening more and more, and her just doing stuff that you wouldn't do usually. But if I were to wake up for the 10th time on the same day with the same people, I guess I would also get angry and just be like, you know what, I don't care, I'm just gonna do whatever I want, I'm gonna try it out and see. And at some point she notices though that she needs to fix it because she's kind of deteriorating. If you like these kind of movies about Groundhog Days, highly recommend. It has a nice twist. Fun to watch. All these movies are kind of very much fun to watch. This one doesn't have any triggers per se because she's in college and she keeps waking up to these college dudes. Directed by Christopher Landon. If you don't know Christopher Landon, he's the same guy who did Freaky, which I didn't like. I'm sorry, I just didn't like it, okay? It just didn't bring the certain je ne sais quoi that I like in horror movies. Funnily enough, Wait
for it. Here it comes. Almost there.
He also did The Scout's Guide to the Zombie Apocalypse, which I liked. Again, I like funny horror movies with a lot of guts and gore. Yes, I have watched Cabin in the Woods. Yes, I love Cabin in the Woods. But this is not the topic we are talking about today. If you have already watched any of these movies and you feel that, yes, they satisfied that little itch in your brain, let me know. I cannot not mention Pearl for obvious reasons. I'm a star! If you watched it, you know it's about this. I mean, it's the prequel to X. If you haven't watched X, you can watch Pearl first, then you can watch X, and then if you want to, you can watch Maxine. I didn't like Maxine. Sorry. Not sorry. Ty West. So sorry. Not sorry. I just didn't like Maxine, okay? It's just Also one of those movies that certain people liked. I didn't like. Loved The House of the Devil. Loved The Innkeepers. It's one of my faves. The Innkeepers is absolutely brilliant. I mean, brilliant. It has some... Look, horror movies will always have this certain factor where people are like, yeah, but the storyline, or it's not even possible. I know. And yet, here I am, surrounded by horror paraphernalia, because I like scary movies. Okay? I'm obsessed with scary movies. Any new scary movies coming out, I will be watching them. Any new scary series coming out, I will be watching them.
Nice.
Back to Ty West. Here we are. He also directed an episode of Outcast. Who would have known? And an episode of The Exorcist. Like that series too. We'll talk about it at some point if anybody's interested. So yeah, Pearl. Fun times. It's about this woman. She behaves a lot like a girl. I'm sorry. Anybody else got this kind of 20-year... It's not girl, I know. A 20-year-old woman who just hasn't had a fully developed prefrontal cortex and likes to kill chickens and feeds them to her alligator. She's very horny and very angry. Which makes the whole point of the movie and this video that I'm making, because she just is very angry and she screams at people and she, you understand why she then develops into wanting to, off people. Yeah, I'm not gonna go further than that because I think if you've watched it, you know. If you haven't watched it, you also know. No, if you haven't watched it, you don't know. So you want to watch it. And I don't want to spoil anything too much. I feel like I'm trying to minimize the spoilers as much as I can so that you can experience it for yourself, right? Jennifer's body. Listen, okay? One of my favorite female rage movies. Why? Because it's one of the few movies where Megan Fox was cast as herself and she was perfect for the role. Just perfect. And same thing goes for Amanda Seyfried, Amanda, who plays the nerdy,
I gotta go. I am a god.
sidekick, I guess.
Okay. I gotta meet Chip
And the female rage comes from both, because on one hand, you have Jennifer, who isn't a virgin, was picked up by this band that made like a satanic hullub, They summoned Satan and offered her as a virgin, and it goes wrong because she isn't a virgin. And they kind of kill her, and she comes back as this demon-esque creature who eats boys. The fun I had watching this movie. When was that? 2009. Yeah. I already had a lot of pent-up anger by 2009 towards boys. Men. Highly recommend, because she comes back and she eats these boys, and all the boys have like a toxic trait, as you will figure out at some point. You have the jock and there's the scene, I'm not gonna say it, but you will see when she eats the jock, there's the scene where the principal, who by the way is played by J.K. Simmons. The principal reacts to that scene because he can hear the jock being killed and he says something. And it made me smile. Highly recommend. Jennifer's Body, when it came out, it had the worst marketing strategy. Anybody at that time thought that this movie was catered towards boys, men, whatever. Everyone was lusting about it. And even the trailer was so trashy. F you, whoever did the trailer. Just horrible butchering of the movie. Horrible butchering of the movie. So the wrong crowd went into watching this movie just because everyone thought, "Ooh, Megan Fox, boys, bubbies." And in the end, it was catered towards women and girls. Why did you do that to this movie? Now it has a cult following, so that's fine. But even if you see even just the posters that came out at that time, what? Her sitting sexily, just scantily clad. The pain of my brain. It never ceases to amaze me how people just don't know sometimes how to market movies. Enough said. Jennifer's Body. Fun times. And there is this other point where then the female rage gets kind of, turned from Jennifer to Amanda. Wait, her name in the movie is something else. Needy. I forgot her name was Needy. I'm laughing because as you will watch this movie, she is very needy and I love it. And yes, there is this chemistry between Jennifer and Needy, and Aidan Brody just plays this perfectly disgusting band lead singer that you just want to, yeah. Watch it. You'll have fun. A lot of fun. Next, it's not exactly horror. I feel it has a lot of horror elements to it. That's why I'm mentioning it. It's Hard Candy, 2005, from David Slade. What the hell, sir? Oh my God. Okay, so he's directed a lot of movies. A lot. And series too, as I peruse through his list. He directed 30 Days of Night, which is excellent. Yes, I will also be talking about vampire movies, the good ones. No, I will... Listen.
We listen and we don't judge.
Twilight, I have watched them all in one sitting while having fever of the highest degree, because I had a friend who loved the books and the movies, and she's like, "How can you judge a movie if you haven't watched it?" Which I live by that, okay? I live by that. I will not judge your movie until I've watched at least half an hour of it. And with Twilight, I sat through the entire torturous, I don't know how many hours. It felt like a week. It felt like a week, okay? It was just, I hated it so much. But I sat through it, and I didn't like any of them. So there we are. So yeah, he directed... The first movie he directed was Hard Candy. Then he directed 30 Days of Night. Then Twilight Eclipse. One episode of Breaking Bad. 5 episodes of Hannibal. Again, a series I absolutely love. American Gods. So, it is from 2005, and it has Elliot Page as the main character, and the antagonist of this movie is played by Patrick Wilson, and she kind of entices him. There is this Lolita element to it, but it is needed for this movie's story because it's a very heavy movie about CP. And it's a revenge movie. And you slowly realize that Haley has enticed Jeff for a certain reason, and it evolves into this revengeful act, and her just, avenging her friend. I'm not gonna say more. The ending is absolutely brilliant. It has divided audiences at that time, because who are you to be judge, jury, and executioner? On the other hand, sometimes you need to take stuff into your own hand, literally, as you will see the movie. It's absolutely brilliant. It's so well made. It feels like, because this movie is about this photographer, it feels like everything is shown through this photography lens, which lends this movie a very almost beautiful. I'm putting it in quotes because the subject matter is very heavy, and I don't want to diminish what it's trying to say, right? Because you have this underage child who is taking revenge upon this fully grown ass man who takes pictures. And so it has, again, this build up where the longer you watch this movie, the more you're like, oh my God. And then the ending happens and you're like, oh, very good, very good. I mean, you're sad because heavy subject matter, but you're like, at least something good happened out of it. And the last movie I'm gonna talk about is one of my favorites.
Stop it.
Which is called Promising Young Woman. Yes, Promising Young Woman. Loved it. Promising Young Woman and The Hunt came out at the same time. It happened during the plague that we are not allowed to talk about, because otherwise YouTube will suppress the video. It's rated R, and it's directed by Emerald Fennell. Anybody who's anybody and watched Saltburn, you know what I'm talking about. I loved Saltburn. Okay, everyone who was, why? She's doing it on purpose. Yes, guess what? She is doing it on purpose. Exactly, because you are so naive. I liked it. Okay, I liked it. And again, Promising Young Woman, is it horror? I say yes. It's horror adjacent, okay? Because, first of all, Carey Mulligan is in it. There's nothing more fun than having cast a really good actress who's perfect for the role you have written. Okay? Perfect. And she plays this woman who is taking matters into her own hands when it comes to men taking advantage of intoxicated women in clubs, kind of a situation. And it's just brilliant, because every man she meets in this movie is played by a certain actor who is known, and the actors are fun because they invoke exactly the kind of toxic masculinity that you tend to meet on streets. Already in the beginning, you have 3 different types of men who are introduced while she is acting like she's intoxicated. You just don't know that she's intoxicated, and she's not intoxicated. So you have Aidan Brody, who plays the nice guy. Oh my God, I'm gonna help you. Please come with me. You're drunk? I will take you home. And then proceeds to take off her underwear. And then you just hear her saying, "What are you doing?"
Hey, I said, what are you doing?
And he is completely shocked because her demeanor changed from intoxicated to very matter-of-factly, "What are you doing?" And he was like, you know what I mean? When men realize that you are not up for what they are up for, that's where it kind of ends. And you're unsure if she offed him or not, because the next moment she's walking down the street, it's daylight, she's eating a hot dog, and you realize that the blood on her leg is just ketchup dripping down her. I'm telling you, just watch the movie, okay? I have spoiled it enough, and we are not even 20 minutes into the movie. And yes, she gets catcalled. Oh, that is also such a good scene. Again, this all happens in the first 20 minutes of the movie, okay? She goes out into the streets eating a hot dog. She gets catcalled by these construction workers. And she's like, baby, you. And all she does is stop and just look at them. That's it. And they're like, oh my gosh, she's nuts, she's crazy. And they walk away. This movie is great. I loved it. It was the first time I think I watched a movie and I thought, that's how I would want to react. Or this seems like an unhealthy way to deal with whatever happened in the movie. I'm not gonna say why she's seeking revenge or why she's doing what she's doing and calling out men who, take her home while she's highly intoxicated, even though she isn't. Because there's a deeper rooted issue here that happened in her life to a friend of hers, and she's trying to rectify it in, I will say, the most human way, because, sorry, I'm getting slightly emotional, just because the ending is brilliant and there is this violin interpretation of Toxic from Britney Spears. And the scene, if you know, you know. If you don't, when it does happen, you will be getting goosebumps. Because you know what she's going to do. You know that there is no going back from that point. And there is also other scenes that make her very human, because you realize that she herself realizes, how far am I taking this? Is this really the way I should be going? And she even surprises herself with how toxic she's being to herself, She's so caught up in this anger and just trauma that surrounds her life. And even the mother of her friend says to her, you need to move on. And she just can't let it go. And I understand why she can't let it go, because it keeps happening. And men like that keep being around. And they keep doing it. And every time you think, okay, the world has become a little more, for a lack of a better word, woke, you keep getting into situations with men where, I speak for myself right now, where you're like, no, it didn't. No, it isn't. We're still the same. It's still the same. How does this keep happening? How do these stories keep getting told? And just these men keep being so toxic. I'm not saying all men, but there is a reason why we want to choose a bear, okay? And this is why this is why this video has been made by me, because I, as a woman, want to see more representation in movies where I can get angry, I feel respected about my anger, and no, it's not perfect. And no, the characters are they're not choosing the right path, but they're choosing the path I would choose if I could, and I had the gall to choose that path. So yeah, these are a couple of movies that will definitely feed that anger and hopefully also make you feel better after you watch them. If I may suggest how you watch these movies. Maybe you want to start with the heavier ones first, just, because they're pretty traumatic. And then you proceed to the movies that are a little more fun and a little more uppity and, make you feel a little more happy after that. Maybe end with Happy Death Day and Ready or Not, and start with Hard Candy and Promising Young Woman. Yeah. Maybe start with Hard Candy, go on to Promising Young Woman, and end with Happy Death Day, and then Ready or Not. I hope I could be helpful. I hope I could, make you make a list of movies you haven't watched yet, or at least some movies that you haven't watched yet. And I hope they make you feel better because I live through movies in the sense that I feel very passionately about movies, especially the ones that make me feel things and make me, it's like cathartic for me to watch certain movies. So that's that. That was me screaming into the void. If you're floating out there and you want to join me floating in here in the void, you're most welcome to. Okay, bye.